in the UK, in Liverpool. This is good morning in Florida. Thank you for joining us here in CTConfidential.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So, first, how was your Christmas and your New
Yeah,
Year?
it was good. It was quiet, family, no holidays, just spending time with me family and my little daughter. And then, it's lockdown, so we can't really venture out much. So it was just all spent with close family and in the house.
Well, hold on a second. But I've heard UK has been in lockdown after lockdown after lockdown, very small periods of respite. So how has that affected you?
It's affected me on a personal level in a big way because from a personal point of view, I'm a very active person. I play lots of football, which is soccer, where you're from. I play lots of golf, obviously going to the gym. Now, we've been fortunate enough that because we're professional fighters, we can still get access to a boxing gym. But, even public gyms to do strength work and, gyms that we go to of a night time for our second session are closed. So we have to just make do it, a lot of running outdoors and but besides the training and the job situation, I've struggled mentally, as in not I've struggled, I'm a mentally strong person, but I mean, it's tough that I can't just go outside and go and play golf for 4 hours and stuff like that. Obviously other people have got different situations and I feel for them, but it's very tough, and I'm lucky I've got a little girl at home who can keep me entertained a little bit.
Yes, and she's adorable. We see you all over social media. Congratulations.
Yes,
she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
Thank you. Drop
dead gorgeous. So family-wise, everything is, thank goodness, healthy. But
again, we cannot complain. We're healthy. We're doing well, and people are in a lot worse situations than I am. So, I cannot complain about it. But we're healthy and we're good. That's the main thing.
So, is there a limit? Have they already established when you might have the lockdown lifted, or is this indefinite?
They said they're going to renew the situation in 6 weeks' time, from the 31st of December, 6 weeks. So maybe in the middle of February they will make a renewal.
So 4 more weeks.
Yes.
So hang tight. We need you back.
Yes.
And when I say we need you back, so we had the opportunity to meet in San Antonio, and we caught you playing ping pong with Jessie Vargas. There was a little bit of back and forth between you and Jessie. Eddie was involved, and I know for a fact, first of all, you cannot miss Eddie because he's ginormous, especially when you're vertically challenged like I am. So I could not help but notice that there was conversations going on, but yet everything just went kind of silent. What's going on? Are you going to come back? Is there a fight being talked about? What's going on?
It's one that I very hope will happen. The fight got mentioned to me, nearly 2 years ago, maybe. My first fight for Matchroom, I boxed Sam Eggington and got out the ring, and Eddie said inside the ring on an interview, I'd love to match him with Jessie Vargas. And, my eyes lit up and I thought, I forgot Eddie promotes Jessie. So that rung a bell. I thought, oh yeah, you've got Jessie. So that's a big fight. I thought Jessie's a big name, 2-weight world champion, wanting to become a 3-weight world champion. I feel if he steps up to 154, it's a no-brainer. It's very easy to make with myself. I done a 3-fight deal with Eddie, so did Jessie. But then it was very close to happening, and then Jessie fought Mikey, which I had no problems with. It's a lot bigger fight, bigger money, and I had no question. I could never ever question him taking that fight. So that fight's out the way now. There's no reason why you shouldn't fight me next. We're both coming off a long layoff because of the pandemic. Yeah. We've got no reason, I'm 32 now. I think Jessie may be around the same age. I don't know, but we're seasoned fighters. We don't need warm-up fights, And I just think the fight should be made. And when somebody pushes me versus Jessie Vargas out on social media, it drums up a little bit of interest, and then it goes silent again. Because I said to Jessie the other day, I know it was a social media post, but I said everybody seemed to want this fight by you. Now, I know deep down, I don't mean Jessie's scared the fight. I just mean if Jessie pushes Eddie, can we make the Smith fight? Then it's down to Eddie to go, yes. But I just don't think he's being too keen on it at the moment. And I think he should push his side more. I'm pushing my management team and Eddie, saying, can't you make the Vargas fight? And he's saying, I'm going to try, but I can't promise. So I think if Jessie pushes him also, then Eddie's got no choice but to make the fight.
But let's, just because I'm curious, you've been out of action, like professional, like being in the ring in a paid event. I mean, I know you've been sparring, you've been helping your brothers, you've been helping other fighters, but it's not the same.
No.
And do you think that layoff could be a factor in not taking this fight right off the bat starting 2021?
Well, I think fighters like us really, when what you've just mentioned, we do lots of sparring. I've been boxing a number of years now. Now, it could play a part, but I think it's a level playing field on us both in the situation. I think, Jessie, I don't know whether Jessie's been out the ring longer than me or not. I don't know. I'd have to read up on that. But, I've been out the ring just over 12 months now. My last fight was...
Yeah, him too.
Chavez. I fought on the Chavez Jacobs card, and that was my last, bout in the ring. But, I've still been in the gym sparring, and then obviously the pandemic hit. But, if we took the fight next, I think we're both in the same situation. We're both been out the ring a long time, but we're both, things world level fighters. We shouldn't really, need an 8-round fight or something, in the same sense. Imagine us going back to fighting an 8-round fight or a 10-round fight. It's just, we should be professional enough now to just go right in the deep end. The winner will win and move on. The loser will have a choice to make.
I get you. And as a matter of fact, just to go deeper in that point, his last fight was against Mikey Garcia, and it was on February of 2020. So it will be, about 12 months. So you've been out pretty much the same, and the competition very similar in terms of quality opponent. Mikey Garcia coming up from really solid 140, coming up to 147. His second attempt at 147, third actually. So just because you're very tall for even a 154, you got good size. Do you think weight, due to the pandemic and the lack of training, could be an issue? I mean, trying to make 154, even though Jessie's coming from 147, making 154 could be an issue. I mean, I'm trying to just figure out what could be the issue.
Well, I don't know from Jess, because 154 will be a challenge for me also. After the pandemic, I'm a big 154. I think we're all going to be in that same situation next time round because of, look, it's all well and good, and it's very easy to say, fighters stay in shape, stay ready. But when you're in a pandemic and you've been out the ring a long time, it's very hard to stay there or thereabouts at 154. So, I just think we're both professional enough. If you give the two of us, a full 12-week camp from now, maybe any time in April, then I think we can both do 154. And I think it's a very, very good fight. I think the winner moves on to a world title challenge. And I think we at the moment, Jessie has been WBO champion before. Mm-hmm. I think it was a welterweight at 147. I was WBO champion at 154. So at the moment, I'm still number 3 in the WBO rankings. I don't think Jessie's ranked at 154 just yet, because he hasn't really had a fight. His last fight was at 147. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure if Jessie announces to the WBO that he's fighting me at 154, then that could be, maybe even a final eliminator. It will put the winner in a mandatory position. So yes. I think it's got a lot of ingredients that the fight should be made, I think.
And it's attractive in every single way.
Yeah, even a fan friendly fight, you know.
Exactly.
With it being no, you know, it's not a world title fight, but it will be a very entertaining fight. And I'm sure that's what I meant before by, I think Eddie would love that fight. I think the Zone would love that fight. The public would love that fight. I want that fight, so it just should be made.
And as I'm looking at the rankings in terms of the WBO at 147, he's ranked, but not at 154. You're right.
Yeah.
So again, we still have the big names like the Charlos, the Madrimovs, Castaño. So Teixeira and those, and Erickson Lubin, who has been somewhat of a staple at 154. Yeah. But interestingly enough, when we talk about rivalries, all of a sudden, you know, here in the American continent, we used to have a lot of Mexico versus Puerto Rico. We would have Brazil against Mexico, especially in the lower levels, in the lower divisions. But now all of a sudden, we have this great rivalry being rekindled, Mexican style versus the English style. And why do I bring this up? Because the styles look very good together. I mean, they're very explosive, very forward, very aggressive fighters. And like you said, the title at this point in time, do people really remember how many titles there are? You know, we're really confused. In 2021, we're walking in and there's the interim, there's the halfway, there's the full weight, there's all kinds of titles. So people are not really keen into, oh, what title are they fighting for, but more, where is he from? You know, and this new wave of European fighters coming to America to showing off a very, very interesting, fan-friendly style. How do you feel about, you know, the juxtaposition between importance of titles back in the day and being a good fighter for the fan that really doesn't understand the politics?
Yeah, there's lots of ways I can answer that now, but, you know, obviously, for me now, in the position I'm in, I want to be in top fights, very good fights for the most money at the moment. Obviously, I'm 30 and I want to be in, you know, I'm in a position now where, you know, years back to win a title, you might have to go through some opponents that you didn't really want to go to. You might have to just beat them along the way. Mm-hmm. You know, now I'm not in that position. I don't need to chase awkward fighters to get their ranking. I want to chase big fights that are going to bring fans to say, oh, is Liam Smith fighting Jessie Vargas? It's a good fight. That's a top fight. And, you know, fights that will gel well. I don't want to be in a fight where I'm fighting a slick southpaw who is not going to make for an entertaining fight, you know. And the fights I want to be involved in now is the fights that I think this will be good. Like this will be entertaining. This will be interesting. And obviously, I feel Jessie, with him being like the Mexican American type, will bring that. And you know, he's been a good fighter over the years. And I just think there's no way our two styles cannot gel. But to touch on what you say with the title situation, no, because I think it's getting worse at the moment. It's like, you know, maybe the WBA have always been slagged off with the regular, the super, but now the WBC have made the rods for their own back, because the WBC really started losing the way with Lopez and Haney. So now you've got a franchise champion, you've got regular champion Haney, and now you've got an interim champion in Ryan Garcia. Like, there was no reason to make an interim belt for that weight. And now also they've made the interim title for Ramirez. Judo Ramirez is fighting Marcus Brown for the interim light heavyweight title. Like, why? Berbatiev is WBC champion and he is not out injured. He's not like tied up with mandatories. So there's no reason they should have made the interim belt. Like, the interim belt is only made when a champion is maybe out injured or the title is tied up with a different mandatory. But they've made the interim belt at light heavyweight now. So I just think they're making themselves look what they've always called the WBA for.
That's good call out, actually.
Yeah.
And among us that we were looking from the outside in, it's very confusing because,
Yeah.
like you said, there was a pattern established before the interim.
Yeah. If I ask you a question now,
Yes,
who's the WBC lightweight champion?
very good question. I would have to look it up.
So now, but people will always give you a different answer. Is it Teofimo Lopez or is it Devin Haney? Like, so who is? And the same question asks: is Teofimo Lopez undisputed champion?
Well, for the WBC would be Teofimo Lopez. Then you have number one, Vasily Lomachenko. But the WBA has Teofimo Lopez as a super champ, Gervonta Davis as the W, and Mendy as the G. Then we have the IBF.
Yeah.
It just WBO, IBF, and WBC have Teofimo Lopez. WBA has Teofimo Lopez. It's very confusing.
The WBC have Teofimo Lopez as the franchise champion.
Yes.
But Devin Haney as the world champion.
No, not right now. Not right now. I could be wrong, but we should look at the WBC just so we're not misquoting.
Yeah,
It's very, very confusing. Okay, so now I go straight into the WBC website.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that Teofimo keeps arguing. I am the champion. I am the true champion. Everybody else is a paper champion.
Yeah, and rightly so. He beat the man. You know, he beat Lomachenko for all the titles. Whereas, you know, Haney, a very good fighter, but you know, you've got to think Teofimo Lopez is the rightly champion. Okay,
so let me show you on my phone. This is the WBC rankings. So for the light, we have updated December 10th. Teofimo Lopez as the WBC, just so you see. Can you see that?
Yeah. Franchise
champion. Then we have Devin Haney as the WBC lightweight champion. Then we have Ryan Garcia as the WBC interim world title lightweight.
See.
And then Lomachenko is ranked 1, Fortuna 2, and Luke Campbell's number 3. And then we have Garcia as number 4.
Crazy. Yeah.
Again, I was raised in the world of boxing with one champion in every single organization. At the time, we didn't have Ring Magazine and we didn't have the IBF. It was just WBA, WBO, and WBC.
Yeah.
So I come from the old school when it was one champion per division and that was it.
Yeah.
So, but again, on that note, as a fighter, that gives the fighter an opportunity to get a title.
I do understand. I do understand, you know, but I don't mind the 4 organizations. That is very good because, like, you know, UFC, there's one UFC belt, but in boxing, there's too many boxers. There's too many great boxers who will never, ever get a chance if there was only one belt, you know. And so I'm all for the 4 organizations, but then the WBC, WBO, IBF, WBA should just have one belt, not super, not regular, not interim. You know, I just think they need to just keep one belt per organization, and then, you know, I'm not against having 4 world titles because you need that many because there's that many fighters around the world challenging for 4 belts. But just stop with the super regular interim that way.
Do you also, so when we talk about networks, it just happens to make it a little bit more attractive when you're fighting for any belt.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yeah, it does, you know, and look, every fighter will dream and want to fight for a world title. That is a fact. And obviously a world title fight on a big network channel, again, it just brings more to the table, maybe more money, more viewers. And, you know, it does add to the fight. If just an example, if it was Liam Smith versus Jessie Vargas in a 10-round international fight, or Liam Smith versus Jessie Vargas in a.
I was just going to say that.
So it does add a incentive. It adds dreams, history. You're world champion again. But it's interesting to see now if you spoke to some fighters and asked the question. Now we'll make just example numbers up. Would you fight this person for just say $200,000 for the WBC title, or would you fight this person in a non-title fight for $450,000? Which one would you pick?
The 450.
Yeah, a lot of fighters would now sway towards the money side, whereas obviously a couple of years back it was more the world champion status.
But it also adds to the state of boxing. Especially when you have recognition to YouTubers coming into the sport and making a splash and bringing a lot of attention. So now boxing is open for everybody. So it's almost like we now need to make the difference between the professional fighters with the titles and the recognition from the exhibition fight.
Yeah. Yes.
Unless pretty soon we're going to have also belts recognizing the celebrities.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, but that is my argument over the whole situation with the YouTubers. Like, I put something out on Twitter a long time ago about the Jake Paul KSI, and even Logan Paul and KSI, and then obviously Jake Paul recently is making a splash at everybody. But I think we need to draw a line between. It's not professional boxing. I'll use Jake Paul as an example. Jake Paul is telling everybody he's 2-0 as a professional fighter, but he has not boxed a professional boxer. He fought a YouTuber in his first fight, and he fought an NBA or NFL player. I'm getting mixed up. I don't know which one the guy was, but it was on the Tyson Roy Jones exhibition card. He fought an NBA player, I think it was, or an NFL star it was. So you're 2-0 as a boxer, but you've never really fought a professional boxer. So you need to draw a line with, if you want to go and have exhibitions, the same what we're talking about with world titles and money is the same type of thing I'm on about. If Jake Paul announces he's going to fight KSI in a white collar bout at such and such arena, it will still sell tickets. It will still make a lot of money because of who they are and what they bring.
But it doesn't make them pros.
No, it doesn't. But it shouldn't, because, I'm all for the trying to do it, but they're not professional fighters. They're not good. They're not professional fighters. And that's where I just think, if you're going to be a professional fighter, start fighting professional fighters.
Do you think in many ways that brings the credibility of the sport back a few steps? Because now I'm out as, again, an outsider looking in. Boxing has lost a lot of its luster for a lot of things, a lot of scandals, and we'll talk about that later. And then all of a sudden you have this new generation, the millennials, watching boxing again. So it's a fine line. It's a balance between how do you see it?
No, I see it in that sense. Like, I do think it's bringing eyes to boxing, probably more so on the card and the show that them YouTubers are on. So, you're fortunate enough. It sounds crazy saying if you're fortunate to get on one of them shows, because it's a YouTuber, but it does bring a lot of eyes, and that's a good thing to boxing. But it also, to minimize the name of if people think, wow, he's a professional boxer, anyone must be able to be a professional boxer. And whereas if you say to somebody, oh, this is Liam Smith, he's a professional fighter, and people go, oh, are you a professional fighter? And think it's a big deal. You must be good at your job. But then you watch a YouTuber on the television and think, wow, he's a professional fighter. Anybody must be allowed to be a professional fighter.
Mm-hmm. So it dilutes the credibility of the fighter.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but then obviously it has its pros and it has its cons.
You know, as a matter of fact, I shared yesterday that basketball player Lamar Odom, who played for the Clippers, just signed a good deal to be a celebrity boxer.
Yeah.
And my thoughts were exactly that. I said, well, you know, Lamar is athletic, just like, I mean, it takes a certain level of skill to be able to play in the NBA, obviously.
Yeah,
but it's a completely different skill set from boxing.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody that just took on boxing 3 weeks before walking into the ring, my biggest qualm, and I'm going to share this with you, is the old adage, you don't play boxing. It's not, you walk into the ring and you're putting your life on the line. One bad move, just one punch can change somebody's life.
Yeah,
exactly. Take it that simply, to take it that lightly, I have problems with that. I really do.
Yeah, because like you say, sometimes it's, people will say, well, I don't mind getting hit. I don't mind getting dropped. I don't mind getting knocked out. But then there is always that chance of that one punch that you will have no choice. You will have no say. It, you know, flicks that switch and you will never be the same again. You know, it's dangerous. And there's so many fighters now, you know, who you know, bad things have happened to in that sense. And I'm sure they wish they could have a choice. You know, Gerald McClellan, you know, fighters like along the lines of Michael Watson, but people who they've got no choice. You know, after that one punch, it's just, you know, and people like don't really look into that situation. You know, and it is the best saying. It's cheesy and it's cliche, but you do not play boxing. You don't.
It's a reason why it's cheesy and it's a cliche because it's true. Yeah. So, but my hope is that this will happen for the betterment and the higher recognition of the high performing athletes that fighters are. So here's to, I'm going to cheer with you just with my good old coffee, to may this be for the betterment of boxing and bringing eyeballs and the recognition of again, the high performing athletes that you guys are, and that this is a lifetime commitment. It's not like you go in for 5 seasons and get out. Yeah. Boxing is not something that you do twice a day or 3 a day. It's a lifestyle.
It is, yeah, and it's a tough lifestyle. As in, like, you know, a lot of fighters only know boxing.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of fighters find it very, very tough. You know, I've got 2 brothers. One who found it very tough retiring.
Paul.
And and now one, Stephen, who is now maybe he's going through the retirement stage. You know, I think he may be retired, but he hasn't officially announced it. And now, again, I don't know whether it's because he's finding it too tough to bring himself to announce it, but I know it's going to be tough for him. Now, they've done boxing since they were, you know, 9 years of age, and it's all they know, and that's where it's very tough.
I have to say something about the Smith brothers. The unity, the family unit is so beautiful to watch. As tough as it was to see Callum walk out of the ring, and then he joined us that evening after the fight against Canelo, there's for lack of a better term, a sturdiness to that core within you guys. Very commendable, admirable, and to a certain extent, enviable. You guys walking together, you leave together, and I am happy because I know Callum needed that. I know Paul needed that at that point in time when he was doing that transition, but he still feels very much involved because you guys are still there. And it was interesting to see how you all felt the pain, felt the anxiety, the excitement before the fight, during the fight, and the companionship after the fight. How do you feed that?
You can't act that either. There's no act involved in it. I think a long time ago, maybe people thought we done it for cameras or we done it for act like to be four brothers that were close, but there is no act involved in it. We're very, very close. You know, we've been a number of years where we're in. Yeah, I was going to try and show you the text. The four of them are in the texts.
Yes.
Like we're very close. We always have been. We do lots of things outside of boxing together. We see each other preferably every single day. I will see them now. The lockdown situation, I haven't seen them, but I'm still, you know, playing on a computer game upstairs with the four of them, with the headsets in, talking to them, and we're close. It's helped us in the long sense, and that's why you said before with Callum, how was he finding his first loss? Tough, but it will soften it a little bit that he's been around me with my first loss, Paul with Paul's first loss, and he knows kind of, you just have to pick yourself back up, and he's got a good family around him with his missus and his little daughter, and he's got a good family in his brothers and his mum and dad. And we go through beforehand, the whole build-up. We're very nervous, obviously, for him, or vice versa. They're very nervous for me because of how close we are. But you'll see, you know, I think people have seen over the years how close we are. We're very close, and you know, it's not for no show. It's not for no cameras. You know, strip all the cameras away, strip the boxing away, and we'll still be four very close brothers. And you know, that'll be like that for many years to come.
There's also something that I like to point out. There's a quiet strength that comes through your father, Paul Smith Sr. He's very quiet, very much involved, but very quiet. But you can sense he commands respect with his presence. How influential was he in your upbringing in boxing? Because I understand he's not a fighter. He is actually a bodybuilder.
Yes. Yeah, so, you know, he has played a big part, a huge part since babies. He's played a huge part. As much as he had 3 amateur fights, so people always say, was your dad a fighter? No, he wasn't. He had 3 amateur bouts and then never boxed again. Then obviously went into weightlifting and was a bodybuilder. So, but he is the one who brought Paul round the boxing gym, brought Stephen round, and then, you know, we all followed suit. And he's a massive boxing fan, has been for years. And the hours, the money he spent, the long travels he's brought us. He's travelled around the world with us, and he's played a big part. And we owe him a lot for what we've done in boxing. But also, the quiet one behind the scene is the mum. She's the backbone, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Yeah, so she is. You've got to understand the situation from the age of maybe 11 to 16, 17, 18. She had 4 boys who were going to an amateur boxing club and training twice a day. So she had 4 boys bringing 2 towels home a day each after showers, 2 lots of training kit, school uniforms, clothes we wore throughout the day. You know, she had a lot to do, and she's the tough nut of the family more than my dad, I'd say.
Yes, and she did a fantastic job with the 4 boys, and your sister is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And I could relate in so many different levels because I come from a very big family as well. And when people don't appreciate what you just said, just laundry, cooking, keeping the house kept is a mission. 24/7, no days, no breaks, no vacation, no sick days, nothing. That's beyond a full-time job. So definitely chapeau to Mrs. Smith, and she's done a fantastic job. I want to touch upon the wonderful job the family has done to bring awareness to autism. As an auntie to my nephew who is autistic, it's really difficult for people to understand how life could be just very normal and in a split second not be normal. And we have, you function around it and with it. And I am the proudest auntie ever. So to see you guys bringing awareness and to create more conscientiousness about our people that are they're viable people. They work, they live a long life, and they're functional in many many ways, and they bring so much. In my case, so much unconditional love.
Yeah, yeah. We you know, the autism thing was a big shock, but also a big learning experience for us as young men. We was, you know, when Holly was diagnosed with it, she was, 17 years ago now. My mum brought us home and said, "Look, lads, I need to sit and have a conversation. Your sister has got autism." And we were like, "What's that, mum?" Because she seemed so normal and so fine at the time. And we were like, "What's that?" I thought you were going to say like a flu bug. And she said, "No, it's a disability, Liam. It's, it's a form of disability." And we were like, "Really? So she's disabled?" She was like, "Well, yes." And the more and more we got told, the more and more we read, the more and more we learned and sat down and listened over it, the more and more we realised what it was. And it's a very big, it's a big deal, and it's also a very big spectrum. Now, our sister Holly is severely autistic. She's non-verbal, cannot talk. She's, and like what you're saying, she's a bundle of fun, just loving to be around. But then also, as the flip side to it, has a bad days when she's, just literally smashing tellies off the wall, or like, we'll just take her whole clothes off, and again, that's just touching back on the woman my mum is, for it to raise 4 boys, then bring Chloe into the world, and then have Holly, who's autistic. That just touched on my mum's mental toughness, and, maybe kind of explains to you that the woman, what my mum is what I'm on about. And but it also changed my dad as a person once Holly was diagnosed with it, because she became a full-time job for me mum and dad. Once she got older, she kind of got a little bit too big for me mum. She's on a lot of medication, so she's a big girl, and my mum's only short. So if she ever has, again, a bad day, what we're on about, and if she wants something, she's very hard to stop. And there's so many little things over the years, some little things that you don't even understand. My dad would have to have Holly's food ready for when she comes home from school, because, again, she's got no patience. So if chicken's in the oven, she's trying to put her hand in the oven, and my dad's trying to wait. So it would always have to be done. So my dad basically changed his whole routine, whole life around Holly, and it changed him as a man. He was up, goes to the gym, comes home, gets Holly ready for school. Then he's home ready to get off the bus for the school meals, for the dinner, in the house. And that having an autistic child like that could have broke many people. And, could have broke my mum and dad as a couple, but it didn't. And I think it's shown the backbone of the two of them to raise us, and still go strong with each other.
It's a reflection of your mental strength. And about that, we need to talk real quick before I let you go, because I know I've already taken so much of your time. When we're talking about mental strength, and then you see fighters that are cutting corners left and right, and let's not even talk about the whole YouTubers. But boxing in general is about mental strength. It's about being able to fall and keep going. Your brother, you, Paul, Steven, they just keep going. How do you feel when you see these young millennials walking into the gym and deciding, well, I just got hit one too many times and I'm just going to walk out?
That just shows like the mental toughness of the boxers now. That's where, again, I don't want to go off topic what we're talking about, but that's where social media breaks my heart. Like, you have people sitting behind a keyboard, slagging people, calling, myself included, getting people calling me names and calling me, I'm shit and I'm no good. And I'm thinking, how can you sit and say that after the miles, the hours we've put in, the blood, sweat and tears? You don't see me sitting cutting weight the day before, You don't see me after the fight lying getting stitches in my eye. You know, you don't see this side to it. And I think when you strip it back, when you realise the 3 sparring sessions a week, the running, the hill running, the injuries you've got to go through in a camp, then to get in the ring, fight in front of 20,000 people in the stadium, hundreds of thousands of eyes on the television, you know, being maybe knocked out live on television, having to get up, dust yourself off, go shopping the next day. You know, it's tough mentally, and you've got to realise we are a different breed. And again, I don't want to sound cheesy in saying that, but fighters who have been there, done it, and are still going through it, they're cut from a different cloth, and you have to take your hat off to them when you sit and you think about it, because a lot of people only just see the 36 minutes under the lights and just think, oh, I'd love to do that. You know, I'd love to put fancy shorts on, get myself in boss shape with a 6-pack and get in the ring. But they don't realise the 12 weeks before this, when you're having to cut weight, when you're having to miss your daughter's birthday, you know, you're having to miss family parties, you're having to miss holidays. The sacrifices fighters have made over the years, some people wouldn't believe. And, you know, you have to just sit and think, you know, you take your hat off to them. And for people to sit and slag people on social media, it is crazy for me. And it's just the brutal side of the business.
You reminded me as to why I love what I do. I love what I do because I get to work with people like you. Like you said, cut from a completely different cloth. There's a sense of pride in what you do. And I try to remind people in a very humble, very minuscule way. These are human beings that have families, that are somebody's brother, sister, son, and they're putting everything on the line just for your entertainment. And for
that's exactly what it is, yeah. And it's we are, again, we're lucky in a sense. We're good enough to do what we do, but also it doesn't come easy. It's certainly not easy now. You know, you go and you build a house, you lay bricks, you go and you paint walls. You haven't got hundreds of thousands of people sitting watching you for entertainment. We have, and there's a big, you know, a lot of my big fears in boxing over the years, like nerves, was to do with I've got no fear of losing. If I lose and I've cut no corners, what you said before, if I lose and I've cut no corners, and, you know, if I lose to a better man, then I'm a man. I will take and I'll dust myself off and I'll come back. But I always had a big fear growing up through the boxing sense of being knocked out cold on a highlight reel knockout that was a laughing stock, that was always sent round WhatsApp groups, that was replayed every day on YouTube. And that was a big fear of mine. I just always hoped I would never be on the end of one of them. And it's stupid that I think like that, because if I did, so what? Like, you know, it can happen. I know that can happen at any given moment in a fight, but that just reverts back to the brutal side of the entertainment business. People find that funny, you know, and people will forward that onto WhatsApp groups, and, you know, that's the risk we have, and that's where people have got to just think, you know, you just need to be applauded for that, really.
Modern day gladiators.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Again, it is true, but it sounds like you're being kind of big-headed saying it, and it sounds, especially if I say it, it sounds like, you know, you're being big-headed and you're not being humble about it. But, you know, it is true when you strip it back and when you think what we go through in a whole fight camp, or even a whole year. Again, the birthday parties we miss, the family situations we have to miss, the food, you know, what we have to do, the weight cuts, and again, you know, a lot of people don't see, a lot of fighters get out the ring and have to go to hospital. You know, a fan going to a boxing show doesn't go to hospital with you. He goes out and has a drink in a pub after the fight. So, people don't look into it that far, and the people who do look into it that far will then applaud you and will then realise, well, you do a lot, and you have got it tough.
My very extensive experience watching, let alone very little fight. I've seen many people that don't have a chance to even go to the point to get tickets stitched up.
Yeah.
So every time somebody walks into the ring, in my best English, chapeau, chapeau, chapeau. Anybody, be it they're 0-3 or 40-0.
Yeah.
Chapeau.
Yeah.
Chapeau, chapeau, chapeau. So to end things, just because not because I don't want to keep talking to you, because this is amazing. I'm privileged and honored. What do you expect for 2021? If it's not Jessie coming up, what else would you like to do?
At the moment, I've got a couple of options, which has come as a surprise to me. I've been offered a fight, what I'm in the middle of discussing now, but I've also going to speak to my management team and just see what Eddie's going to do regarding the Jessie fight, if he's going to push it next, because if he doesn't push it next, then I will have to take this other option. Mm-hmm. But if you ask me,
give me a name. But nobody else will know.
I think I'll give you the name by text in a couple of days.
Okay, cool. But it's going to be exciting. Well, where would you like it to be? In the UK or in America?
Well, I like, obviously I'm a UK fighter. I love the UK. I love fighting at home. But Eddie even knows this. I love fighting in the States. I would prefer to fight in the States. And that's nothing to do with UK. I love the UK and I love the UK fans. But there's just something about the States that I love. And I'd love to fight there all the time if it could be. And my personal preference would be the Jessie Vargas fight. That's the fight that just gets me excited, and that's the fight that I'd love next. But we'll have to just have a talk with Eddie, and hopefully he can push this. Jessie tweeted me the other day saying, I'm a brave guy, I want this fight with him. So we'll see. We'll soon see if he's brave enough to step up to the plate.
Well, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and thank you so much for your time.
Please
extend my dearest and warmest hugs to all the boys, to your mom, to your dad, to your sister, and may 2021 be blessed with a lot of success. And thank you for this time.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye, Claudia. Bye. Bye.